Hello, shooters, loaders, and casters. Welcome to the Georgia Shooting Connection Friday Night Live stream. We're glad you're here. Kyle, do that thing you do.
Good afternoon and good evening, depending on which time zone you're in. Me and Jamie are suffering through some severe thunderstorms and maybe having to seek executive action as far as the internet goes. But I'm glad everybody's here. Welcome to the panel and welcome to the side chat. It's been popping on and off, and it's just a great Friday night. And I appreciate the participation of everybody, and we're glad to see you. Mark, good to see you. Talk to me.
Hello, all. Wonderful to be here. Thanks for the invite. Been watching that side chat and trying to chime in a little bit. Good to see all of them out there. Been a good enough week. Been staying busy. We've had a couple of storms rolling through here. We've had some hot days. Spent a little bit of time at the pool. And just happy to be here. Been looking forward to it all week. How about Hillbilly next?
Hey, thanks, Mark. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing? Man, the side chat's already just rock and rolling and getting with it. Man, what a fun night. I'm looking forward to this. It's always fun and it just makes my Friday awesome, you know? And I just want to thank you all for having me on here.
Thanks for being here, man. Uh, Walter, how you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm doing really good. I'm not, of course, suffering from the weather that the rest of you folks are. It's beautiful here on the central coast of California. Got all the way up to I think 74 today with sunshine after 9:30 when the fog went away. So, yeah, I got some casting done and some reloading done and some shooting done. Got the three big pieces of our hobby all taken care of this week. Got some video work done. So it's been a good week for me. Happy to be here as always. Something I look forward to at the end of the week on Friday nights is George night. First thing I think of when I wake up Friday morning. Well, second thing. First thing's breakfast, and then I start thinking about it. So anyway, happy to be here, and I appreciate the invitation. It's good to see everybody over on the side chat. So, Mr. Gene from the Hot Pot, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man, good to be here. Good to be here. We have a good chat tonight. Like Walter said, we already got a really nice side chat going on out there. Everybody's collaborating and cahooting together. Yep. Had a good week. Busy week at work. Doing a lot of sorting, getting a lot of brass out there for all you reloaders. Try and take care of all you people out there with your necessities for your reloading components. Doing the best I can. All right, that's all I got. CW.
I want to welcome all of our distinguished panel. Thank you for being here, guys. Couldn't do it without you, and we couldn't do it without the side chat. There's 30 people out there. Want to remind everybody, hit that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And we got a couple of topics here, and we're looking for some other ideas on things you guys want to talk about. So anybody out there's got things they want to bring up or want to hear about or want to know about, get to thinking, and we'll be looking for some topics. Nice.
I found a topic. I went back and looked at some of our show from last week. Edward Petty wanted to talk about uh, how long does ammunition last?
I remember seeing that. Yep.
That's a good
The
question.
answer to that question is simple. Properly
Shoot it.
stored, it don't go bad.
Depending on how it's stored, but
Yeah,
stored properly, there is no expiration date.
yeah.
You've seen the videos on there, guys taking stuff from World War I and before and open it up and shoot it off, and everything's fine. It all depends on how it's stored.
Uh, You know, I don't know how many of y'all saw it, but I think most of y'all did. Uh, yeah, that's one we got to talk about. Uh, that's my favorite, Glenn. So, yeah, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Um, we Our main topic tonight's going to be this. What are our what somebody asked last week toward the end of the show what casting pots we used, and we'll go through the room and talk about that, and we might as well make that our first topic. Um, and I've I'm using a Lee 420, but I feel like I'm outgrowing it, and I feel like I'm spending too much time diddling with that thing than I am casting bullets, if that makes any sense. And of course, mine's not new anymore, so there's probably that. Every so often, every so often you just need to drain that thing and clean it up real good. And after I do that, it works really well, and then slowly, you know, it goes away. But uh,
That that makes a lot of sense, Jamie. And anybody that's used one, and I have not had the availability to use one of the higher level ones, the Lyman, uh, the other bigger ones. I've got a couple of 420s, and they work extremely fine. You know, you can cast a lot of bullets with them. You can run a lot of lead through them. Yes, they drip. There's nothing you can do about it. You can try to hone and all this stuff, the needle in the seat for the nozzle. But I mean, yeah, they work. Um, but I've been wanting to work up to something like what Walter's got. Reach on.
Like that one?
I bought mine at Cabela's.
You know, that 420 pot is probably where I would guess almost 90% of casters get their start. You know, it's an inexpensive way to go, especially if you're not sure it's something you want to really jump into. You know, the pots, you can get them for under $100 compared to one of the newer Lyman or RCBS pots are going to cost you $300. So, you know, you got to watch your temperatures, and the temperature of the lead melt will change as the level of the lead drops down in there. So will the flow rate. You got to mess with the dripping stuff. So you got to have an ingot mold or something underneath your drop spout. But none of that's a big deal, really. You know, the other stuff that you spend your extra $200 or $300 on a more expensive pot is just for convenience, really. And there's a couple of other things about controlling the temperature better when the level in the pot goes down. But you can do that with the lead too, just by turning the little dial up there. It's not a big deal, you know. Anybody who's starting up and casting, I'd say start there.
You get a PID with some of the better ones built in.
Yeah. And you can make a PID, and you can buy an external PID controller for not a whole under $100 now. They used to be more expensive, but they're fairly cheap with a probe, and run your lead pot off of that. You know, if you decide you want to go that way. So it's a good place to start, I think.
that's what I do.
You know, and then, you know, later on you decide you want another pot, then you can keep using that lead pot to melt down your culls and whatnot, and make your ingots with that, or, you know, you do whatever with it. There's lots of, it's kind of like having that single stage press to start reloading with, you're always going to find a use for it, even though you may find something that you like to use better, a turret or something. So
What's your opinion, CW, on you use the Lyman, right?
I've got a couple of Lymans. I've got a Redding, and I've got a Lee. The Lee I've got is a 10-pounder, and that was the first bottom pour I had. Before that, we used to use a Lee top. It was electric, but you dip out of it.
Mhm.
And then before that, of course, it was just a pot over the stove. But that little Lee is just like the bigger one. It drips. It works. It works to this day. I bought it brand new, or my father probably bought it brand new, early 80s, and it's still working. It's, knock on wood, it's never been a problem. I use it today for pure lead. I keep it set up, and I use it for pure lead. It's cast a whole lot of muzzleloader bullets and balls through the years. And then I've got a Lyman 25 and an old Lyman, an early Lyman that looks a lot like a Lee. And the Redding doesn't come out; it sits under the bench. And I just use them for different alloys. I keep 20-to-1 in the old Lyman, and I mix whatever I want in the newest Lyman, which is still probably 20 years old. It's the orange one you see in my videos. And I run them with a Willie PID, and they works really well. And they're really good. They don't tend to be drippers, but different alloys can drip. I know I see it dripping a lot if I've got a high tin content, and it just shows to what that tin does for you.
Yep.
Does for your alloy. But yeah, that's it. Really doesn't matter. Like Walter said, you can get to the market with a Mercedes or a Cadillac, or you can get there with a Yugo. They both make the journey, and they both get you home, and so it's not a mandatory thing. It's what you can swing, how deep your pockets are, and what you want to have. They all work.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 6-shooter Texan has that Pro Melt 2, like that newer one that I got.
One thing I will say that is nice about the 10-pound Lee over the 20-pound Lee, the way the lead comes out, the way the lead flows, the arm in the 10-pounder lifts a heavy bar. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 5/8 in diameter, and then it's tapered at the end, and that plugs the spigot at the bottom, and it sticks out the top. And it's really all mechanical. You lift that arm and it lifts that bar. So what you can do to stop the dripping is you just tap on the head of that bar. And in the 20-pounder, you've got the sliding bar. You're not actually on the head of the bar itself that's stopping the flow. Right. But on a 10-pounder, you're directly on that. So literally, if it's dripping, you just go tap, and it seats that pin, and it won't drip anymore. So in that regard, the 10-pounder is better than the 20-pounder for dripping. But it's not really that big a deal. You stick your ingot mold under there, and every once in a while you tip it upside down and back in your bucket, back in your top, or throw it in your slag, and move on. Not a big deal.
Yeah, I have that little 10-pounder, and not only can you tap on it, it has like a flat blade screw head on it. And you can just put a screwdriver in there, twist it a couple times, and it'll usually slow down. It still drips, but yeah, just put the ingot mold under the ear and put it back in. That's the pot that I started with, and was doing fine. I liked it. It was just, everything good. And last summer we were talking about pots one night, and I went on eBay afterwards and started looking around. And when you clicking on things, next thing you know, they're sending you emails and here's an offer. Well, they made me an offer, and I thought it was pretty good, so I went ahead and got one of those really nice old Seiko pots, and I started using it, and it actually has a nice temperature dial on it. And
And they go
I
hotter
thought it-
too. They'll go hotter than most other ones.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought I could trust the temperature gauge, but I went ahead and got one of the Lyman digital thermometers, and it was pretty close. But one of the things I found with that one, it holds so much that it flows a lot faster, and I was making a mess. So I still use it, but I kind of put it under the bench, and I brought that little 10-pounder back out, and I cast the other day, all day with it, and just got into a nice flow with it. I started to figure out, as it got a little bit lower and it was getting hotter, I was just dropping sprues in to keep it, cool down a little bit and keeping it filled up. And boy, I worked through probably 7 or 8 or 9 pounds of lead that way, cast a whole bunch of bullets, and had a real good day of it.
Yeah, there's different models, Mike. Depends on how old your old Seiko is.
Good night, soldier.
Good night.
Peace,
Good night,
bro.
man. Good to
Night.
see you. Something else about the pots, and that is that a lot of the older ones are steel pots, and the Lees are aluminum pots. And you'll hear guys like Andy talk about what you got to have for zinc. So you really want to have one of them older pots, and one of those older Seikos are a gem.
Cast iron.
Yeah, they're a gem for zinc, because they get a little more temperature. They got a little bigger coil in them, a little better coil, and the pot in them, the potentiometer, it runs at a little higher temperature, which is what the
Yeah.
zinc needs.
And the actual pot on those is cast
Yeah.
iron.
Yeah.
If it's pure steel, the zinc reacts with it, and that's what happened to Elvis Ammo. He burnt right through the bottom of a steel pot trying to heat zinc in it.
And I still can't believe that Lee warranted that for him.
Yeah.
The only reason Lee warranted that pot for Elvis Ammo was because they watched his videos.
Probably.
And I also wanted to say good night to Mr. Lee, Thoughts of an Old Soldier. Hope you have a good night, brother.
Good night, sir.
There's Mr. Pollard's out there, and AR Guns is out there. And Andy Screams is zinc. Yes.
It's the Zinc Master.
The zinc doctor, Dr. Zinc is here. So you want to be a doctor?
We will ask the questions. Yeah, I've got another Lee 420 pot that I bought when mine got contaminated with zinc, and I'm using it to melt down zinc. I'm just waiting for it to explode like Elvis Ammo's did, and just pour zinc all over his table.
So, Kyle, how did it get contaminated? Do you spill hard seltzer on it? That'd be the only thing I know to throw it away.
There he
Oh,
goes.
no,
See, man, he's a closet seltzer drinker. He talks about that a lot. A lot. I bet if you look in his fridge, he's got a bunch of cans of seltzers been opened up, different flavors, just so he can taste each one.
Who were you talking about?
Hillbilly. Mr.
He's grabbing
Seltzer.
me.
I know he likes to shoot them.
Yeah. Well,
We
I'll
need to
tell you what,
replace this-
Dean,
Yeah.
there is a few in my refrigerator right now getting cold for tomorrow night. So that's the only ones that's ever been in there.
Well, I mean, my problem is my outside refrigerator on the back porch has a few of them in there, and those are from Angel, my buddy from Las Vegas that came and stayed with us for a week and a half. Turned her on to those hard seltzers, and now there's a fridge full. Yeah, I don't know.
Everybody needs targets, you know.
Right? I like the way you think.
There's MCK.
Hey, Mott.
Hello, Mark.
Mike will probably be in here in a little bit. He's been out
He's
to eat
working.
with the family.
Okay.
And, if he don't fall asleep, you know how it gets when you get your belly full and all that. You know.
Got a sighting.
Yes, we do. Y'all ready?
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1.
That was one of our better efforts.
Not too bad, gentlemen. Not too bad.
Hiya, Mario.
See you, brother.
Love you. No homo.
No homo.
All right, let me show you my first casting pot, and I think this is a lot like the one that CW started with. So this is an old Lyman pot, and I don't know if you can see that price mark on there. I bought this back in the 70s. Okay, so here's the pot. That's actually my
Yep.
my original
That's
pot.
fun.
I dug it out not too long ago, a couple years ago, and cleaned it all up and used it a couple more times. And this is not my original dipper either. I lost that. I had to get another one. But that's what I started off with, was that pot and that dipper, just like that.
Yep. Same here.
And that was a good system. And used wheel weights, doesn't hold very much, so you didn't get a whole lot of them in there at a time. But I only owned one mold at that time anyway.
And it was single cabinet too.
Yeah. So that's how I started, and now I've got several pots. I used the Lee 1020 for quite a while, and then it got kind of fun.
Tommy Boy's calling you a fibber.
Well, let him fib.
You know he's calling you a fibber.
Oh, so.
He says you started out with a hollowed out rock. That pot was bought afterwards.
Well, it's kind of the same. It actually is pretty close. I'll have you know, I use the latest in heating technology with that pot too, Tommy Boy. It was a Coleman stove. It burned that newfangled white gas and everything, man.
Yes, sir.
And my old Lee pot, I still have it, and I got another one. I have a second 420, brand new in the box. It went on sale one time for like $45, some crazy sale. And so I bought it just to stick it on the shelf, thinking my nephew might want to get started into it. He hadn't made any motions to that effect yet. But now I run two basic pots on my casting cart. I got the Lyman Mag 25, and I got it at a relatively inexpensive too. I think it was only around $250 that I paid for that pot just maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And it's a nice pot, PID controlled, got a nice big pot on it, holds 20 pounds or so. They say it holds 25, but I've never been able to cram 25 pounds in there. And it runs well. That one does drip a little bit too. Every once in a while, I got to take my oxyacetylene tip cleaner and run it up in and out of there and ream it a little bit. But it's been a pretty decent pot. There are a couple of things I don't like about it. But then finally, after all these years of casting, I finally boiled myself down to two main alloys that I use. I use a lighter octane, it's rain scrap with a little bit of tin, and then I mix up a 9262 that I use for higher pressure handgun loads. So I thought it would be nice to have two pots, one that I just have that alloy in and one that I have the other alloy in. So I have my recipes for those that I know what they are, and I can keep one pot for each of those. If I was shooting rifle loads, I need something even harder, another pot for that, but I don't. So I bought the RCBS ProMel 2, which I'm starting to like better than the Lyman, and it's cheaper too by quite a bit. That's a nice pot. It has some good advantages. Has kind of a goofy mold guide on it that I don't like, but I replaced that right off the bat. But I like that pot.
Does it have an on-off switch on it?
It does now. It didn't come with one.
That's nuts. I don't understand that. I just
No, I don't either. None of them do that. And So from Amazon, you can get an inline on-off switch that'll handle the wattage fine for like $12 or something. They're cheap. So I put one of those on each of those pots. But I do like the pot. It's got a cover on the top of the pot where the Lyman doesn't. The Lyman's just open to the wind and the cold and the dust and the flies and everything else that wants to go in there. So that pot tends to heat up a little faster because of that, and it's hot enough on that you can lay your mold up on that lid,
Keep it
to
warm.
help keep it warm. Just kind of a lot of advantages to it. And don't get me wrong, I do like the Lyman pot too, but I think the RCBS, if you're looking for a pot, a factory pot that's got onboard PID control, I think for my money to do it all over again, I'd have 2 of those RCBS pots instead of a Lyman and an RCBS. But that's just my opinion. Yeah. Flo can with a big heavy pot like that, or a big large volume pot. That's one of the advantages of having a larger volume pot up there, is that your flow rate's not going to diminish as noticeably as quick as it does on something like a 10-pound pot. It's you cast up 7 or 8 pounds of bullets really fast with a 6 gang mold, and then before you know it, your flow rate's down to a trickle, and you got to adjust it again. No big deal. You just go adjust the flow rate. They're easy to do.
You could start out just with a pot like Walter just showed, and a dipper and a mold for pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get an alloy, so you have to source for lead,
Yeah.
which can be expensive too. But if you find a garage and you can get some wheel weight still, you're pretty good. Or you got a plumber or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You get some lead, electrician or a plumber.
Wheel weight, so you really don't have to mix much anything with it, if at all.
Wheel weights are almost a perfect alloy.
Yeah, for
They really
most handgun loads and
for everything really, because you
Yeah.
can quench it and get harder.
make them hard, and you can powder coat, and
And then you can advance as your pocketbook allows, and upgrade as you go. Even if you want to get a little bit elaborate and get yourself a hot plate, they're really cheap. You can get them
yeah,
at garage sales and thrift stores or brand new Walmart. And I don't think I paid $12 or $15 for mine brand new.
Yeah.
Also, you can look used. You can check out the boards at your gun shops if they've got.
these things
Boards
come on
for guys, all that
eBay
stuff.
all the time. Those little cast
So
iron
there's-
pots are cheap.
There's options for used stuff, and with the group that we've got here, you may want to even let it be known if you're looking, and guys may have stuff or be willing to part with some of their old stuff to buy new. Like Walter's talking, he may want another, RCBS, and that Lyman, he may want to sell it. So you may look down the road and find one of us that are looking to upgrade or change, and you can get a deal. Powder coating is another one. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can get the oven, which is probably your biggest outlay, and you can get those used at garage sales and
Absolutely.
such, and you can get them brand new, cheap. You don't really need a fancy one. I've got a couple of videos, and Walter does too, on how to upgrade those cheap ovens.
Yeah,
and,
I paid $3.50 for mine.
Yeah, and then the
Right.
powder is going to be your next most expensive, and there you can find powders for $15 or so, but most of the powders are going to be upwards of $30, $25-$30 for a pound. But if you don't need a lot of colors, it's not that big a deal. Your jugs
Right.
are all used stuff. Family members, see who's got. If you've got any family members who are like weight training or anything, they got some really nice big jugs, and they work really well for this. Mayonnaise jars and stuff like that will work. I use Quick, Nestle Quick jugs. That my nephew loves this stuff, so I get the big jugs from my sister. So that's no fee at all. There's no charges there at all. So
Right.
it doesn't have to be a lot of money.
Yeah, you can dip your toes into casting for under $100. You really can. Um, even counting the mold, you can go buy a Lee mold, 2 cavity Lee mold for $30 easy, maybe less, and cast iron pot or a used Lee 420, and a couple things for powder coat from Eastwood. You can get half-pound jars, and a lot of those are $8-9.
Also, hello, Chuck. Also, if you're on websites, forums, over on the Cast Bullet forums, there's a guy over there, Smokes, and he used to have a sampler pack.
Yeah.
I don't know how big they were. They weren't very large amounts, but they were a sampler pack you could get, and it was a good deal. And the nice thing about him, he knows exactly what you're doing. Meaning, all of his stuff is going to work. There's no guesswork about it. Everything he's selling is made to work, shake and bake, and you'll find as you get into it that although all powders will work with the systems they're designed for, they do not all work shake and bake, just because of the amount of static you can produce and the way it works. So you'll find that like Walter said many times, the candies and the metallics and he just stayed away from them, and I did too, because I learned they just normally don't work as well. But like, I sent a whole box of powders to Andy last year, because he has the actual powder gun system, and he tried all my powders, and every one of them coated beautiful with the system. So it's just it's peace of mind knowing that what Smokes has is all going to work, and he's got some good stuff. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive. Most of what you get for throwing more money at it's more convenience.
Right.
Fuzz is talking about pan lubing, which is something that started out with a lot of guys, and that's basically, you just melt your lube, you stand your bullets up in a pan, and you fill the pan up to the height of the lube up on the bullets, as high as you want to go, and then you let it harden, and you push your bullets through, and the lube stays in the lube grooves.
Yep.
Well,
I
that's
used beeswax at first for that.
Yep.
That's how I lubed my first bullets, was with beeswax, pan lubing.
We got bulldogs out there.
Hey, man.
We'll give attention to this, and then we'll go through the side chat.
Absolutely, Kitty. Absolutely. I've personally shot it over 2,000 with no problems, and I've talked with guys on that same forum that have pushed it past 3,000 without a problem.
I'm running my 35 Remington at about between 2,000 and 2,100 feet per second with a 200 grain peel.
And I also did it with plain base bullets at those velocities.
Yeah, I powder coat mine at that velocity. So yeah, we're doing that. The Hasbro, that's everybody's biggest problem, I think. We're still fortunate around here to be able to find tire shops that'll sell us used wheel weights fairly cheap.
Yeah. Lead wheel weights are outlawed in California, so I can't do it here. I got another source. But
Holy grail is 18-wheelers. You can get those wheel weights.
I'm spoiled. My best friend from high school owns an auto clinic that does tires.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we got a local shop here. He doesn't want to take them to the scrapyard anymore. He doesn't get nothing out of them. So he gives them to me and one other old guy. We take turns getting the stuff from this tire shop. And then my work, we just got him 4 35-gallon barrels of range scrap. So I took in a bucket today and took out about 40 pounds of it. Just scraped off the top, throw it in the bucket, put it in the car. Thanks, boss.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm a good source too.
I'm a good worker too, man. I do a lot of stuff around the shop. I help out in any way I can.
That's right. Being a good worker pays.
Yeah, he's a good boss, which makes me want to be a good worker.
Yeah.
Hand in hand. Good management, good employees.
Yeah. In California, there's just no wheel weights, no lead wheel weights anymore. They were outlawed some time ago, and up until a couple years ago, you could still find them, but you go to the tire shops now, and they aren't there. They're steel, ceramic, and zinc. But I get all of my lead from the berm at the pistol range at the gun club for free, and I can go and in 5 minutes have 80, 90 pounds of range scrap. You got to bring it home and process it and clean it up and get it into ingots and get rid of all of the other junk that's in there. But you have to do that with wheel weights too. So
As long as Andy don't go to your range, you're all set.
yeah, well, I shoot zinc at my range too, but I shoot it only in one lane down at the end. And I tell there's only a couple other guys that pull lead out of that berm. And I tell them, so don't pull anything out of lane 9, because that's where I'm shooting my zinc.
We shot those at Dead Zero, didn't we? I'm typing Andy a message. I didn't have a chrono set up, but they would have told us what the velocity was. And they were light loads, Andy. Me and you talked for a long time about the starting load, and I loaded them up light, but it still seems like they were faster than my lead loads at about, I think I was at 27 grains of tack, and my regular loads were 38 and a half grains, and it seems like they were still right around the same velocity. So yeah, they move. The zinc ones move on because they're so much lighter.
Oh yeah.
I see Papa's place out there. Did anybody see his video put out today with his new 6.5 Savage? I think it's a Savage. Good looking rifle.
Yeah. Yeah. He had it propped up on his old tree stump.
Yep.
He finally got cut down.
Okay, what can we type in to say hello to the side chat?
4570.
4570. All right.
All right, that works. Type in 4570 and we'll call your name out. Yeah, it looks like you could find some sailboat stuff, Walter.
No.
All right, so we got Tommy Boy, Viejo, wow, that jump. Senior Master Sergeant Bulldog, Info Bros, MCK, Abigail Finnegan, Vanessa Kitty, G23, Edward Petty, Walks Fletcher, Chris from the 740, Tactical Fud, Papa's Place, Rollis Carvelis, Duffer 426, Garage Guy 879, 6-shooter Texan, there's Bama Dad, Fuzz T-Fork 8, Andy 79 Z28, Lakeview Outdoors, Papa's Place, Hasbro, Reloader 762, Hillbilly Up, Bubba Triclops Ballistics, James Pollard, Tim McDonough, Timothy Burkett, Idaho Rogers USMC, Walter Davis, Johnny 1982, Bama Dad, Hobbies Hobos, Vanessa Kitty, Dwayne 7834, 6-shooter Texan James Pollard, the Scottish American, Alaska 1 Andy, Edward Petty. 2520 is a cool little cartridge, guys. I never knew that. Earlier, I also saw a question, and I can't remember who put it up there, but does the antimony in wheel weights make our lead too hard?
No.
What's too hard?
Right. That depends.
Maybe too hard for.
It's like hard cast. What's hard cast?
Yeah.
Right. It's all relative, ain't it?
Yeah. The range scrap I get is what we call antimonial lead. Most of the cores that are used in cup and core bullets or jacketed bullets is antimonial lead, and that's about 3% antimony. And so that's the basis for what I use, and it's not too hard.
There's Gizzard Gary. What's up?
Hey, Gary.
Hello, Gary.
There's
Well-
Pat in the bunker. Building a gazebo.
What I've been doing, Walter, is I've been mixing my wheel weights and my range scrap. I'm getting at about a 60-40 mix, 60 wheel weights, 40% range scrap. And it works fine for everything I'm shooting, including my 44 Magnum.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm not seeing any leading issues or any problems with it at all.
Yeah. The stuff that I mix up, range scrap with enough tin to get it up to about 2% tin, so that gives me a 95-3-2 mix. Runs at about 10 or 11 after quenching the powder coated bullets, and that's fine all the way up to probably 28,000 psi easy. If I'm going to shoot at 35,000 psi, then I go to a little bit harder alloy. But I've never had any problems with that range scrap either.
That's one thing Lee does have outlined for us, and it's in the manual. In their manual, the recommended harnesses for pressures.
Right.
It's a good guide.
Yeah.
But it's a non-coated guide, meaning it's conventional lube bullets.
.32 auto. Good luck with that, Scotsman.
Yeah, brass.
Uh,
Everybody mixed in with the 380s, and they don't pick it up, and then you got the 32 Smith and Wesson mixed in with it, and it's a tough one to get brass for.
I'll send him a box. I'll have to sort it, but
Yeah,
I have a little bit, some from what I've shot, some that I've found.
Good deal,
I
man.
think I bought a little bag of it at a gun show, I think last year, and I have the 32 Smith and Wesson dies that you can use for 32.
yeah, you can use it. That's what I needed a couple years ago was 32 Smith and Wesson brass, and try getting that. That's like even harder than 32 auto, because you're going to get a whole pile of 32 auto. The one good thing is a lot of times you can use it because it is a rimmed, semi-rimmed case. But you don't want to use factory loads. You want to, because obviously it's going to be hotter than 32 Smith and Wesson.
I would recommend, if you have that lead book, read those early chapters, especially around.
You pulled it last time, Jamie. Was it page 35 or something you said, and you were spot on?
I think it was page 107.
Yeah, whatever it was, you hit it right on the head.
And it's that relationship with pressure and BHN hardness of your lead. But, really and truly, Dave Thorzak nails it pretty well for handguns. 8 BHN up to 12 for your magnums. Maybe a little harder for full-on 357 44 mag loads, but right around that 16 to 18 for most of your rifle stuff, maybe up to 20. for high pressure rifle rounds. But put a gas check on them, powder coat them. That should work. So Papa's Place scored him a RCBS uh, scale. Um, I met up with a fellow last night, and y'all might remember him. Do y'all remember Sean, who came in and was on the panel for with U.S. Law Shield? Been about a month or two ago now.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I loaned him my Lee turret press and a old set of balance beam scales. So that'll get him off and running. He's starting with 45 ACP. So hopefully he'll be a reloader here in a few more months. A beginning reloader anyway. I think it takes a few years till you become a hand loader, if you understand the difference. Um, what else would we want?
Johnny's got a good comment there, Jamie. He wanted to talk about this last week, I think. What he's talking about there is lead bullets seeded into the rifling. It's a common thing, but most reloaders aren't doing it because they're coming over from jacketed bullets, and that's a big no-no in jacketed bullets because it's going to spike your pressures really bad. But with lead bullets, it's not the case. It still raises pressures, but it's not the same at all. It's not even close. And if you know anything about matched chambers for 22 long rifle, that's what they are. When you seat that bullet, you're actually seating the bullet right into the rifling. There is no jump because it's a lead bullet. It's a non-issue. But you still want to practice safe loading and start low and work up. But you'll find that you can really achieve some, like he says there, serious accuracy. And he's loading 413 Lyman bullet, which is not known for its stellar accuracy from most folks. It can be an accurate bullet for sure, but most people with their abilities can't make it shoot. And part of that is that they're not breech seating.
That is interesting. What do you do? Just seat the bullet long and then allow the rifling to finish seating it, or
It generally won't push it back in the case because it's so soft, even a hard lead bullet. But that's exactly right. But what you may find, and why some people don't find it appealing, like for a hunting situation, it's kind of annoying because what can happen is it can pull the bullet out of the case, and then it's stuck in your chamber, and you got powder in your action, and now you don't even have a gun that works. But for target, every gun that goes into your chamber can be fired most of the time. Yep.
Mama just called me. She feel I've got to go. I've got to go. I've got to go. I've got to go.
There's a rebel.
there's Rebel. Amazing. Yeah, those soft
Lyman
balls.
Lyman cast bullet. It's all in there laid out. Lyman cast bullet manual.
Yeah, I'll have to read that. I can't picture that, Tommy boy.
Okay, I know what he means. I think he was addressing your comment, meaning you load the bullet normally, you just seat it long. You don't put the bullet in the chamber and then put the casing.
I can't picture that. Okay, page 36 of the RCBS manual. I have a lineman manual. I don't think I have that book either.
I can go get it.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, I'm confused. You understand, Mark?
Now I'm just bouncing back here between the side chat, reading and listening to what's going on with the panel.
Yeah.
I can imagine loading something like that in my single shot break action rifle, but I'm not sure about much of any other action.
I've got the RCBS book here. You want me to read the little blurb it's got here on page 36 about breech seating? It's not long.
Yeah, if you can stand it.
Sure. It says many shooters in the past attained outstanding accuracy with cast bullets by seating their bullets into the bore with a bullet starter and then placing a charged case behind them. This, of course, aligned the bullet with the bore, and it is this condition we are trying to duplicate and still have the convenience of a fixed round for loading and shooting. In no case, seat the bullet so that the base extends below the case neck. Cast bullets and self-loading rifles create a few more problems. And then it says there's some exceptions when you wouldn't want to do that. For recoil-operated arms, the recoil energy must be high enough to ensure proper functioning. This usually means a velocity higher than desirable. The alternate solution is to go to a heavier bullet, which will provide needed recoil without excessive velocity. With the exception of the M1 carbine, gas bullets are unsuitable for gas-operated arms. Fouling plugs the gas system, creating malfunction. Well, powder coating can resolve some of that too. But so yeah, start it into the bore with a bullet starter, and then you place a charged case behind it, according to RCBS in their one and only cast bullet handbook.
Yep. I just went and got.
All the cool kids have that one. This manual is a good one to have, guys. If you cast, I think it's out of print. They come up on eBay once in a while. This one was printed back in the 80s, I think, and I don't think they ever made another one. 1986 was the first printing. I don't know how many printings they've done after that, but
Yeah, this one's an 86.
yeah, and it has data for the RCBS molds that were
Yep.
available at the time.
Yeah, there's some really good information in here. From
Yeah,
Airborne.
Thorzak's got a comment to you, CW. Would you agree 90% of all precision and silhouette matches on a level that matters are shot with plain lead alloy bullets? They are not just plinking rounds. In handguns, that is.
In handguns, yeah, oh yeah, for sure. absolutely. Sierra made a line of silhouette bullets that were somewhat popular in some circles of guys.
Floridian says, "What's the percent of brass you can reload? Say from 1,000 shells fired." I would say you're going to have some. Yeah, you're going to have hot pot says depends on the caliber being used, but
I don't understand the question.
yeah,
I think he's talking about going out and shooting 1,000 rounds of reloaded ammo. Let's say you got once fired range brass, like 9mm, and you load up 1,000 rounds. You go out and shoot it, and you pick up the 1,000 rounds. 9 times out of 10, I find all 1,000 rounds are good. You can clean and reuse and reload them.
Also, how much can you get life out of the brass type of question?
Yeah, but if you're shooting like CW, we were talking about 10mm. If you're shooting some hot 10mm loads, you're probably going to crack some.
Yeah, you're gonna get far more, like 32 autos. 32 Smith and Wessons, 38 specials, 44 specials. You get far more of those than you will 327 Federal Magnums or 357 Magnums or 44 Magnums. The hotter your load, the shorter your brass life.
He says yes, so he's using once fired range brass. Like I said, if it's 9mm, pick it all up. I rarely find a bad 9mm in just plinking loads.
Yeah, there's some brass out there that's more difficult with us.
Norma,
Yeah,
9mm.
and S&B has real tight primer pockets, and some guys don't like that and will just throw it away. But as Gene says, most of the time 9mm brass is good to go. Notwithstanding the idea that there might also be military crimps to deal with and this, that, and the other thing. But as far as the case mouths and splits and go, the lower pressure handgun brass, it can be loaded multiple times before you start finding problems. Our semi-auto brass gets shorter, and it doesn't take too long for that stuff is shorter than semi-spec, particularly with 45 auto. And then that may or may not be a big deal, and the primer pockets can start to get big so that the primers feel loose when you see them, but you're not going to see those issues usually on once fired brass.
It's all about the pressure, it's all about the pressure they're exerted. Brass itself can hold quite a bit, but once you get above 30,000 or so, you're starting to stress the brass more and more. That's why you'll find, if you think about it, it makes sense. Like everybody, one of the hot topics in 10mm is unsupported chambers. Well, why is that not an issue with 3006 or a 308 or a 270? Well, because it will blow the brass out. You're talking about much higher pressures. The brass can't withstand not being completely supported. So along those same lines, you're working the brass a lot more, up at 50,000 psi than you are at 10 or 15,000 psi. Your 38 specials running at.
y'all say goodnight to Hobby's Hobo.
Good night, Mike.
See you, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. I gotta be on Scotsman's side up here. I agree with what Gene said. I agree with this comment. I think it's our job as reloaders to really inspect your case every single time and pay close attention. Don't pass up a chance to inspect your brass. And it's just as important in handgun brass as it is in bottleneck rifle. It's even more so in bottleneck rifle, I believe.
Yeah, annealing will stretch your case life quite a bit too.
Yeah, and you're going to handle that brass multiple times from, between when it's shot once and between, and when it gets shot the next time. You're gonna pick it up at the range. You might as well put your eyes on it then. You're gonna bring it home and either tumble it, and so you can inspect it when it comes out of the tumbler. Now you got to size it. You can look.
A good bright light
number
at
of
your
times.
reloading press lets you find that pretty
Yeah.
easy, and you'll get a feel for it too. Especially with bottleneck rifle, you pull that ram handle back down after pushing the case up in, and there's a little bit of resistance when that expander ball comes out of the case mouth. On a cracked case, there's no resistance,
Right.
so you get a feel for that. And you know to look.
Right.
That feel-
Handgun brass, you'll feel it when you're seating.
Yeah.
Right away you'll know. And sometimes somebody else up there had mentioned, yes, you can come across a split on the last step, on the seating step, and you'll know it right away by feel that there's something haywire with that case mouth.
It feels like somebody let the air out of a tire.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I compare it to like catching a 380 in your 9mm on a progressive. As soon as that 380 goes up in that cedar, it's so soft, you know it. It's there.
Mhm.
So you stop and you inspect because that feeling's there. But going through and inspecting through each process, the picking up of it, picking it up, the cleaning of it, the depriming of it, the sizing of it, and then rolling it and then handling it, rolling through your press. You have so many opportunities to catch them. Unfortunately, we don't always catch them, or something happens odd in the process where we don't see it or catch it.
Right. It's just, the idea of looking at it every chance you get is important. That's something that, as Jamie said, that's part of our job as a reloader, is to make sure that we don't put faulty brass into the system. We take it out.
That's
Good
why
night, Jerry. Thanks for stopping by, man.
that's why we have scrap buckets that we take to the recycling place.
Right.
But you do feel it. You can literally feel it. Like all right, let's get on to our next topic. We've been kind of beating this reloading stuff to death, and I hadn't heard anything from Hillbilly. And I thought Kyle was going to be here. Yeah, that right there is important. Plunk test every one of them, especially your handgun stuff. I want to ask Hillbilly's opinion, and we'll go to Mark next. What's your opinion of the venerable 16 gauge shotgun?
16 gauge?
Yeah.
Well, it's a pretty decent shotgun. Oh, look at that kitty. Hi there, sweetie. What are you doing? What a pretty girl.
That's Rigby, Hillbilly.
Oh, what's going on? But no, 16 gauge. Man, I remember like most of like my grandfather's Well, but my grandfather's has 16 gauge. It seems to be uh, there was more like growing up with the old timers in my family and stuff. There's more 16 gauges than there was 20 gauges. And so it's just I know a lot of people that even shoot skeet with them. I love shooting skeet, and it's a pretty good skeet gun too. Browning Sweet 16, yep. That is
What I've heard is that 16 gauge is too good of a skeet gun, is why we didn't have it around here for the longest time.
Nah,
I've
it'll
heard
do the
stories-
job. There's no doubt about that.
I've heard stories about the Europeans bringing them over from Europe and spanking all our really good shooters with those 16 gauges, and they're rattling those 12s.
Yeah,
So
definitely a good gauge, good gun. I mean, yeah, I've shot them, and I think I have a single shot 16, if I remember right. I'll have to go through my shotguns, but I think I do have a single shot 16. And that what's kind of funny is like some guys will buy that for like their son or daughter or whatever, thinking, this ain't gonna have as much recoil as 12 gauge and stuff. And then, like you said, they get on the line out there shooting, and they're whipping all the old folk, because those 16 gauges are good guns. There's no doubt about that.
there is no 16 gauge in NSSA. I'm assuming that's National Skeet Shooting.
Yeah.
Hasbro's got the comment of the night so far. 16 gauge is the 270 Winchester of shotguns.
Yep, it is.
16 just seems to be the Goldilocks. Glenn Davis, I think you should do some research on that if you're getting into reloading 16 gauge, because there's a lot of different schools of thoughts. Pollard will swap stuff around and make up his own data and all that, and then the people that sell you that stuff, they're all like, no, you've got to follow the recipe down to the exact granule of powder and all that kind of stuff. So until you figure out what's going on, yeah, follow the recipes. But
I'll tell you this: the old timers put everything in them, from rock salt to gravel or whatever.
I'm talking about wads, I think,
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, the wads, okay.
and they make
I think there's probably different stuff they use for wads. I wouldn't doubt.
you can buy a wad for a straight wall or the tapered hulls, and you can buy one for whatever size shot that you're wanting to do that in. And so, yeah, basically what you got to remember is their objective is they're a business. They're there to make money. So their prerogative is to separate you from your hard-earned money. Right?
I don't think there's as
I think
many
so.
16 gauge wads as there is 12s and 20s, but there's also not a 3-inch version of the 16. So
Well, I have loved 16 gauge for a long time. One of the first shotguns that I was allowed to use and carry around out there to woods by myself as an old champion single shot 16 gauge. And many years before I got a hold of it, my father had lopped about, I don't know, 8-10 inches off the barrel. So it's got quite a pattern. But that's a great little gun. It's been restored once or twice. I still have it, and I also have another one of my dad's guns, an old Winchester 1400 semi-auto in 16 gauge, and that thing is just wonderful to shoot. It's a fixed full choke, and when you're shooting clays with it, you can let them go a long ways out there, and you can still bust them really good.
Oh yeah.
I took that gun on a special trip out in Iowa hunting pheasant, and 3 or 4 people missed a rooster that went up, and I got the last shot when he was pretty much out of everybody else's range, and I dropped him.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one of those long barrel goose guns too before like that, and that thing, which it was 12 gauge, but it'd reach out there, it'd tear your dang shoulder off, and it was heavy to carry. I'd a lot rather have 16 gauge like that for the pheasant.
Mr. Pollard says a marble will fit in a 12 gauge wad. Just saying. A marble and 3 double-aught buck fit in a 12 gauge wad too. And
Be
Tommy
surprised
Boy
what you
says,
can do.
Tommy Boy says roll crimps will usually be 1,000 psi lower, so you can go that way too.
Walks Fletcher, my turkey gun is an NEF 10 gauge, and I think it's got a 24, 22, or 24 inch barrel. Oh, that thing kicks like a mule.
I bet it does.
They actually have about an 8-inch iron rod stuffed into the hole, where you can, from the butt pad, where you can access the bolt that attaches it to the receiver. They've actually got a chunk of iron stuffed in there to try to give it a little bit extra weight to absorb some of the recoil. I took that out because I was, humping all over the mountain looking for turkeys, and whenever I shot it without that thing in it, it went back in. It's worth carrying the extra weight around because it kicks even worse when you take that bar out.
Lakeview
Yep.
said it would be a nasty coyote round. The marble with 3 double-aught bucks. See, I can see Scotsman's. I can see his eyes right now. I can smell the wood burning. Marbles in a 12 gauge wad. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that was one of the topics we needed to cover tonight. The 16. I'm glad 16 hasn't completely. Yeah, he lost them all. I'm glad people still have 16 gauges and still remember them. Still like them, still shoot them, still use them.
So let's talk about marble. Is that the shooting marble, the big one, or the standard marbles?
Well,
Matt shoot the shooting marble may go in a 10 gauge. I don't know.
yeah, it might. I think a roll crimp cover card for a 12 gauge is 3/4 of an inch.
Standard marble, he says. Yeah.
standard marble. Thorzak's, I have shot some of that. Me and Gene Reload from the Hot Pot both shot some of that.
Yep.
Shooter is too big for a 10 gauge. Thorzak's, I don't know if the shot has anything to do with it or not, but yeah, it thumps on 12 gauge. James, standard marble makes about the same size hole as a slug, and it's round. Yeah,
I got a 730 mold. That's a full bore 12 gauge pumpkin ball. Engages rifling 730.
okay.
I like Scotsman's idea better.
Don't do that. At least make an Uncle Jim hobo out of it, man. Dump the shot out and put a marble in the end of it. Yeah, Glenn. Any single shot would be New England Firearms H&R. Be a good starter gun. See if you like 16 gauge. But I'm gonna tell you something that's going to lead to more than you want to jump down into.
You might as well just go ahead and buy you a pump or whatever because you're gonna like it.
If you can find a pump in a 16.
Yeah,
I've seen
looked
some.
for a 870 for a lot of years before I found one.
Yeah.
Right,
he's
Info
really
Pro.
good.
I've seen a few bolt action 16 gauge shotguns.
Oh yeah, I haven't
Yep.
seen that yet, Mark. I'll be darned.
Yep. Yeah, the high back Browning Sweet 16 is a very nice gun.
It is a very nice gun.
That was my grandfather's favorite.
I agree with Lakeview. Yep, that sounds like a video, Scotsman. You might have to put something out on that.
Dump the shot out of the wad and just put one in there. That man right there got me started. He sent me a crate full of stuff.
I remember that.
I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with Mr. Bulldog.
He'll tell you some good stuff too, man.
Oh, he's a wealth of knowledge.
And Dave too.
I've
Dave's got
gotten, as far as it goes with shotgun rounds, I've gotten a wealth of knowledge from this community. And a lot of people have told me what works, and they told me what not to do.
good night, Hasbro. See you in the phone papers, my brother.
Good night, man.
Night.
See you, brother.
You guys that don't know Hasbro or hadn't subscribed to his channel, y'all gotta go check him out. He's done some pretty nice precision reloading work.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on there.
There you go, Glenn. 28 gauges. That's my thing. I like that 28 gauge a lot.
I came really close when me and Jamie went up and met up in North Carolina. We met up with Thoughts of an Old Soldier and Mike Hester at his store and all that. I came real close to buying a 410 Henry single shot shotgun. But then I got to looking around on the shelf and there wasn't no ammo. I was like, well, I need at least one box so I can start reloading it, you know.
Good night, Bama Dad. Talk to you this week, I hope.
Good night, man.
Those Browning Sweet 16s, they are nice.
I got one in the safe right now. Jamie, I got to buy a new safe.
So you're keeping your Sweet 16 safe, you are?
Sure.
Cool.
I got to looking around. There's 9 rifles in the reloading room that I don't have room for in the safe. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that that's the situation I'm in.
Yeah, Tom.
I hear you,
My first 28 was a Remington Wingmaster, lightweight, 28 gauge. That started my appreciation of it.
I've never owned a 28 gauge.
More people have shot their first perfect scores with a 28 gauge than most other gauges combined.
Well, I've heard they're extremely easy to shoot.
Yeah, they're light on the shoulder and they pattern very, very well. I would agree with 410 walks, but not a 28. 28s, you can get a 1 ounce load in 28.
That's kind of heavy, isn't it?
Well, that's what I'm just saying. They can carry payload. 3/4 ounce is a standard load, but they got 7/8 and 1 ounce loads.
I've honestly never seen 28 gauge ammo in any store. Of course, I hadn't been looking for it either, but it just didn't pop out to me.
14 and 24 is a lot harder to find.
I reckon. Kyle Mark said he's got room in his safe.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, tell him to drive your butt down here, and I'll send you home with something. How about that?
I get free transfers in my FFL.
No, he's got to do it hand in hand. You want to take it back and put it in your safe instead of mine, you're going to have to come to my house. Play with my puppy dogs.
Tommy boy, I can actually find 28 gauge easier than 16 down here. But that's just around here.
Yeah, I was lucky enough several years ago to go ahead and buy a case of those Winchester, I forget what it is, but Winchester 16 gauge. And I haven't shot it since, but I got a whole case of it.
I've not shot a Stoger Woods, but I've got a friend that's got 2 two 20 gauge over unders. I guess that would be the Condor. And I almost bought a 12 gauge Stoger Coach gun last night, used for $500. But
I think they're pretty good. They're solid. They're beefy, but they work good. They're not as svelte and nice and smooth and rounded as a lot of other that are out there, but they also didn't used to carry their price tag.
A 32 gauge? Wow.
Yep. And there's a 67 and a half gauge too. Have you ever seen that one, Kyle?
What is that, like a 22?
67 and a half is a 67 and a half is a 410.
and 6-shooter Texan, if I didn't already have that ATI road agent in a 12 gauge, I would have bought that gun. But it was a 12 gauge. If it had been a 20, I probably would have bought it anyway.
I had a Stoger hammer gun, 20 gauge.
Well, you can't beat that. He broke one Stoger side by side, and they gave him another one. That'll work.
Hello, Chessboard. Good to see you, man. Haven't seen you before. Welcome.
I've seen him around a time or two. Welcome in, Chessboard.
I'm kind of looking into some more different shotguns. I mean, I've got plenty of 12 gauges. Got my grandfather's 16 gauge. Looking at getting another 20 gauge. Maybe a 410. I don't know. It's just it's hard to find the ammo. I mean, if you can find holes, you can reload them. Not a problem. But yeah, it's just you can't walk onto the shelf and get a brick of 1,000 shotgun shells anymore. Or 500, however it is.
So, 6-shooter, do you reload your shot shells with black powder? Johnny, I've got a Stevens 5100, which is the model prior to the 310s, and 16. I've got to do some work on it too, and when I do, I'm gonna make a video series out of it.
Yeah, I got one of those in 20 gauge.
Yeah, me too. 5120 with a Rhinite stock I've got.
Yes, he loads his with black powder. That's got to be fun, man.
It's always kind of scary to me, but that's kind of why we do what we do on Friday nights, is so people with experience can share it.
Black powder is actually usually a much lower pressure. A lot of the old guns are safe with black powder, but not with smokeless.
Man, CZ's got a rebate going now. If y'all are in the market for a shotgun, go check out some of these online places. Good night, Andy 79Z28.
Good night, Andy.
Night,
Good night, Andy.
Have a good weekend, my brother.
Good night, man. Gunner, come here.
I can see where that would be interesting, Bulldog. 20 gauge slugs. Anyway, what I was saying about the CZ shotguns, I was not aware that they were made in Turkey, but they've got a rebate and they've got some really good prices going on right now. I think you can get one of their side by sides for maybe it was an over under for less than right around $600. Oh, we're not
That's
allowed to say that. 600 acorns.
There you go. Unless you're talking about deer, bucks, and does.
Yeah. That
damn 600 deer. Wow, that's expensive. And Andy was picking up what I was putting down.
yeah. Thanks, Andy. I haven't seen a Rossi, but I bet they're nice. Man, I tell you what, I did put my hands on last night, guys. They had a Rossi lever action 44 Magnum stainless Brazilian hardwood, and the fit and finish on those Rossis are getting better and better. And it was 699 acorns.
I know there's a pile of 454s on Gunbroker.
Really?
Yeah, they released some. Been a lot of years. I've been wanting one forever.
Those Turkish made 1911s. I had one of those, and it was a fine shooting pistol, chambered in 45 ACP, and I mean it was a great shooter. But I was in the need of some money, so I had to pawn it to a friend, and he moved away, and he no longer lives in this state, and I'm not driving that far to get it.
Good night, Tim.
Thanks for being here, Tim. There you go. I understand, Waltz. 1968 was a good year. There was more history happened in 1968 than the world could digest.
Everything that happened in 1968 was in an encyclopedia when I was born.
Hey, Papa. Have you ever noticed this shirt?
You better be noticing that shirt, Papa.
Yeah, Rigby's got a new Bible school shirt. She was in Bible school all this week,
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
which leads to my next thing. I
I
need
feel
to.
like if you go to vacation Bible school every day, then you get this shirt.
You think?
Yeah. I feel like that's why I got the shirt and the disc.
Good. Run on in yonder. Let me ask these guys something, okay?
Okay.
Oakley dokley.
This is a big old pencil. Why is
Yeah.
there a big old pencil in here?
Good Lord, she's getting so big.
Lord, I know it.
She's growing up right in front of our eyes, sir.
She'll soon be 8 going on 38. I want to put an I agree on that statement from Tommy Boy. Chessboard got out of the Army in 1968, so you know what I'm talking about, don't you, buddy? A lot of stuff happened in '68. And Dave, only thing I know to tell you about the Ruger Marlins is they look great from what I've seen. I've not had the opportunity to put my hands on one or shoot one, but there's some stuff going on, guys, that we need to be in prayer about. You guys that are praying, guys, of course, always continue to pray for CW, for his wife, and the situation they're going through for Lakeview Outdoors and his wife, and the trials they're going through as well. But we need to be in prayer for Cranky Cletus right now. His son was in an accident today, and he's okay, but they still want us to be in prayer for them, as well as New Tex I Can. He's having trouble with his back, and a lot of us out there are friends with New Tex I Can, and he's a great encourager for a lot of us. And he's having an MRI on Monday, so we would covet your prayers for all of those situations.
Yeah, we spent a little time going back and forth the other day, Wednesday, I think it was, texting back and forth. He was headed somewhere with his wife in a car.
And 6-shooter Texan's wife goes for more tests on Monday, so keep them in your prayers. And I'm just going to have to start me a list. And I think we need to make that a part of our show, is a prayer request page.
I believe you're correct, sir.
And if we're going there, I might have to add a verse of the week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'd say do it, Jamie.
I'm telling you, I think everybody in the side chat and everybody in the panel, we all need prayers for us, and we all need to give some for somebody else.
Got that right, brother.
Wow, Hillbilly, I know he spent some money on those two.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Nice.
No doubt about
Nice.
it. Took a year to get them. Ain't that something?
They do beautiful work, but they're not cheap.
No, they're not.
I don't want to get you excited there, Hillbilly, but there's some guy behind you waving around a gun.
I'm gonna shoot some hard seltzer with that.
Good Lord.
Tommy
I thought
Boy
we'd go
won't-
all night without the hard seltzer talk.
I agree.
It started right off the bat, Kyle. So Tommy Boy wants the verse of the week, so we'll probably start that come around August. So
That sounds good, brother. That really does. That sounds good.
Jamie, could you post a prayer list and all and that too, also on your community page on Georgia Student Connection or somewhere? That'd be nice too. We could refer to.
I can try.
There's Walks with the cornbread.
Okay, guys. I'm just going to say it. I've come to an understanding that cornbread muffins are not cornbread.
Negative.
So we'll leave that at that.
Jamie, they're gonna make me do a live stream on cornbread, aren't they?
Why not? Get yourself set up in the kitchen. Go for it. This is how it's done, boys.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna come up with $200 tomorrow night, Scotsman. So we need to get Hillbilly to clear his palate. And I think Mark's got to do some repenting here.
I'll take that blame, 3Jeep. I'll tell you what, that thing has been a lot of fun to shoot, and it's been a lot of fun to reload for. Been tinkering with that, and you're talking earlier about plunk test and everything. That barrel pops out nice and easy, and I literally stand there, and as I take it off the press, I pop it in, drop it out, put it in the box. Works great.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got those cartridge checkers, stainless steel things. The best thing you can use is the barrel that you're going to be shooting it in. It goes plink and plunk. You're good to go.
Glenn Davis says, yes, sir, live stream cornbread.
I can do that. Matter of fact, I might do that tomorrow evening because we're trying to go through some goodies that we have in the fridge and all that before we have to go to the store again because we're a little overstocked on a lot of things. So I think some cornbread maybe in it. And no, it's not muffins.
I'll watch it. But if you open a little white and yellow box and dump some stuff into
No,
muffin
sir.
tins, I'm
No, sir.
signing out.
No, sir. That will not happen in this kitchen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we also need to add Dave. He's been fighting that shoulder thing for so long. And
I thought
MCK,
he was over that.
now he's fixing to go under the knife again to get the stuff they put in the first time taken out.
Oh, goodness gracious. God bless him.
And Johnny 1982, it says cornbread muffin mix on the box of Jiffy. And MCK, I don't know about a cornbread casserole. I just can't remember ever eating one.
And Bulldog, I will never use Jiffy muffin mix.
The word bread never appears on a box of Jiffy. Corn muffin mix. It's not bread. It's also, you make it in the pan, it's called Johnny cake. It's not cornbread because it's sweet like cake, so it's Johnny cake.
I mean, I put a little dash of sugar in mine, just a dash. I don't want any of you people from up north saying that's not enough. I put just a little dash in there. But there's cream corn and cornmeal and flour and all kinds of stuff. That is cornbread casserole thing. Won't you come on down, brother? I'll show it.
Not around here. So I finally found something that Walt Fletcher and I disagree on, and that would be grits.
Well, now Walks also doesn't understand that 30-06 won 2 world wars. So that would be the greatest cartridge in the history of mankind. Just saying.
You're going to keep Walks from sleeping well tonight. You're going to get him so
Why
riled
in-
up.
I know.
Where did this start? Where did this cornbread thing start?
I don't know.
I mean, what was
It's been a while.
Yeah, 5-6 months ago. I mean, how
Yeah.
did this start?
I don't know.
We'll have to
I
go
know, we'll
back
just
to
blame
some of those
Bubba.
old videos and see if we can find it.
By the time the Hatfields and McCoys men had all killed each other and there were only women left, nobody knew what the original feud started over.
Cornbread.
No,
He's probably
it started over a mule.
I think it was a pig. I know it was some kind of animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, thought it was a pig. Somebody's pig ate somebody's cornbread, I think.
You bet it was a jiffy.
No.
Chad Kelly joined us. Hey, Chad.
Hey, Chad, good to see you, man.
Oh, this is just ridiculous.
So I tell you what, when they get, I don't think this cornbread casserole, but what we do when we have leftover chili, a few nights later we put chili in the pan, cheese on top of that, and pour cornbread over that and bake it. I don't know if that's a cornbread casserole, but it sure is good.
I can tell you, I'm making a nice. I guess you could call it Mexican cornbread casserole. You start out with your cornbread mix, put half of it in, and you take your hamburger meat that you've already grilled and put with taco seasoning and all that stuff. A little bit of green chilies or diced jalapenos or whatever, and then top it off with the rest of the cornbread mix after some cheese, and cook that off in the oven. And whoo, I'll tell you what, it'll slap you naked and hide your clothes.
I believe it was Michael Dunn back there that said he bought his first two AR
Lowers.
lower receivers.
Does anybody remember those Marlboro points you could get?
Oh yes, Lord.
Oh, yeah.
What do you got? Do you have the Marlboro cookbook, the Western cookbook?
I got the duffel bags, the backpacks, the jean jackets, but I don't have the cookbook.
That campfire Marlboro cookbook has a recipe in it for chili with cornbread baked into it, where you dollop it in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, excellent.
sounds good.
I had a koozie, a lighter, and a cooler.
I mean, they got the recipe in there for a shoe fly pie too. You know, stuff's not too good, but if you ain't got much, you can make you a pie. Old shoe fly pie.
We got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, we're fixing to start going through the room. And let's start with Mr. Mark Thomas down there on the bottom. What are you working for? What are you working on this week, buddy?
Well, I got a bunch of those bullets cast up the other day. I need to load some of those. I have a couple more leather projects I'm working on. Might see a video from somebody here in a day or so. I sent a holster out to Ron Wayne, so keep an eye out for that. And well, we're just kind of winding down summer. I've got about 3 weeks left, and school's going to start back up again.
Oh boy,
Yep,
Really?
goes by fast, doesn't it?
sure does.
My wife start back next week. She goes back the 28th.
I think I'm back the 15th.
What happened to September?
Yeah.
It used to be from Memorial Day to Labor, or Labor Day to Memorial Day, Memorial Day to Labor Day. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not enough bacon in the world chessboard. They're just not it, and they never will be. But Mr. Hot Pot, what you got coming up this coming week?
Oh man, next week be work. Tomorrow I got an IDPA shoot. I'm gonna go dabble in one of my local clubs. Sunday's just gonna be doing some testing and such. But hey, thanks for having me on tonight. I enjoy Friday nights with this illustrious panel, these wonderful gentlemen I get to see, and all that side chat out there, all that stuff flying around, man, through the fan. Walks told me to eat his shorts. Hey, but everybody have a blessed weekend. Have a great week next week. And until we see you again, always remember to keep blowing that smoke.
Amen, brother. Starting in August, we'll have a verse of the week and a prayer request list. Mr. Walter, what's going on?
Well, boy, it's been a lot of fun here again tonight. This 2 hours goes by so quickly. It's just hard to imagine. I really appreciate the invitation as always to be here. It's great to see all you folks out there in the side chat. Have a opportunity to interact with you folks as well. We don't get to see everybody all that often, so really fun to see and follow along the side chat. Sometimes you see us over here looking back and forth. We're watching the side chat panel and trying to pay attention to what's going on in here too. But it's really interesting thing for me to do. So coming up, we got a Moldy Monday coming out this Monday again, as always. Tomorrow, I'm going to go to the range and not shoot any video at all. I'm going to go shoot that new Ruger Mark IV. I just put a red dot on it and some new grips, and we're going to go see how that plays out. And I've got some hand loading stuff to get done here at some point this weekend, but it's going to be kind of a good weekend for me, all kind of firearm related. So that's what we got going on here. Thanks again for the invitation, and always a pleasure to be here, folks.
Thanks for being here, Walter. We appreciate you. So the best salad in the world is 1 pound of bacon and 1 leaf of black seeded Simpson lettuce. That'll work.
Sounds amazing.
That'll work. Good night, Edward Petty. Mr. Hillbilly, are you ready to drink a seltzer tomorrow night?
I'm not ready, but I mean, looks like I'm going to be doing it. There's no doubt about that. I was going to tell him, when you put bacon on your salad, it's just a game of finding the bacon for me.
It is.
But yeah, man, tomorrow night, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, Guns, Beer, and Therapy, I will be drinking a hard seltzer live, and I really don't want to, but my goodness, it's for a great cause, for some great folks, and so, I'm looking forward to the show. I'm not looking forward to that part of it, but it's just what it is. And man, guys, I just want to thank you so much for having me on here. I got videos coming out this next week. A lot of fun stuff. The side chat has just been awesome tonight. I mean, just so much great stuff going on over there. And then the panel, I just can't thank you guys enough for having me on here. I'm not a reloader, but I do have a notebook that I take notes on the whole time when I'm around you guys. So, I got stuff on there planned out. So, when it comes time, to start doing this, I have a whole list of notes, what I'm wanting to buy, and where I'm going to start out. And then all the wisdom on this channel and this community is just awesome. I mean, it's better than anything I've ever seen, And so I just want to thank you.
My question is, do you have any more pool shootings coming up?
Oh man, you know what? There might be one towards the end of the summer.
You ain't ruling it out, huh?
My wife's listening. There might be one towards the end of the summer. So, anyway, yeah, there could be. Yeah, we had to give away a few mattresses the other day from a spare bedroom that that I'm gonna basically use it for my live shows and stuff. And we got rid of the mattresses, and I'm like, what was I doing? We could have shot those mattresses. I mean, like now we're gonna have to go buy some mattresses so I can shoot them. She's like, no, we're not. So, but it just, I enjoy you guys. I enjoy this community. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, buddy. We appreciate it. I can't wait for tomorrow night.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Gonna enjoy it.
Yep, it's gonna be a good time.
Michael Dunn, maybe we need to address that next week. He's having issues getting his sized brass to fit on his pallet for his trimmer. So maybe we'll talk about that next week. Kyle Lusk, what you got coming up this week?
Oh, right now I'm breaking in a new puppy. Got a new shepherd, new to me, and fairly new to the earth. Busy with him, and him and Baloo they're starting to get along, but they still have their issues. I mean, growing pains, whatever. I've actually got a bunch of 200 grain Lee bullets that I've casted up. I'm going to be gas checking 30 cal and probably loading them up in some older 308 brass just for with light loads, plinking rounds, and just I call them doinking bullets. Doink, doink, doink. It was wonderful to see everybody tonight. The side chat's been amazing. The panel's been fabulous. I just thank y'all for having me. It's been a blast. It really has. I've learned a lot about cornbread, and I don't know. I've enjoyed listening to everybody, cutting up with everybody. It's been a great time. I really appreciate it. I look forward to every Friday because we do what we do.
That's what we do. Thanks for being here, buddy. And tell the truth, you did not learn anything about cornbread. We were ready.
Well, you ain't wrong.
Listen, CW Long Shot, what you got working on this week?
Probably not a whole lot. I got a lot on my plate. A lot happened last week, so probably not a whole lot. But I did get a new color of powder coat in, and I got another one that's due in. So maybe I'll do something with that if I find a little time. But I just wanted to reiterate and thank all the panel members and thank all the side chat. You guys are great. Without you, we couldn't do this, and we really mean that. So, Jamie, I'll close us out here. We can maybe make it on time.
All right. Y'all know when to watch who, when, and where. So we just going to leave y'all with the fact that we love you and there ain't nothing you can do about it. If we hope the Lord blesses y'all real good, and if He's willing, we'll see y'all back next Friday night at 8 o'clock. Say good night, y'all.
God bless
Good night,
everyone.
y'all.
Good
Night, y'all.
Everybody.
God bless everybody.